Hello. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Adoption Roadmap. That's what we're calling it. Every Thursday morning, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I talk about all the things that have come up in my world of adoption over the past week. The good, the bad, the ugly, always keeping it real. That's how I roll. And I want to give a shout out, if I wasn't on my phone, I'd go look at who it was, to the woman who messaged me on IG, thanking me for being here and always keeping it real and talking about shit that nobody else will talk about. So you're welcome. Thank you for following me. And now on to the show. Oh, did you see that little thing? Anyways, okay. On to our regularly scheduled content that is never scheduled and just, it comes out of me. How has your week been? Our matches we don't have as many matches as we usually do. We usually have a solid 21, and we have spaces. I have spaces on my whiteboard. Given the fact that some have adopted, some have fallen through, unfortunately. Some have fallen through and then matched and then adopted. So, I don't know, we always have a little of everything. I also want to shout out the fact that our inquiry calls are on the rise and my schedule is full. I've got about 3 calls a day lately and people signing up for our private one-on-one client services, for our premium platinum services, talking to some celebs, talking to all sorts of people. It's fun. I love that part. All right, let me grab my lotion because that's, All right, I changed up my studio a little bit, turned off the lights, moved out my chairs so some of you can see it in the background and, got the spotlights going and trying to feel a little like a celeb myself with no makeup on. Okay, lots of stuff. Older children. Let's start there. Over the past year and a half, 2 years, I love how Instagram tells me that they're telling my followers that I've started a live video so that maybe they'll join. And interesting enough, I don't know how Instagram works exactly, but that's what happened. Like suddenly, like in the next minute or two, all these people will start to come on, all the millions of people that I have following me. Okay, older children. I have seen an influx. I have also received more calls of people who are either open to infant through whatever, or some people who are just open to older children. And because I see it often enough, in fact, yesterday I got, God bless the agencies that trusted me. I love them to death. Why do they all want to work me starting at 5 p.m. every day so that I'm working all night? I'll take it. It's not really a complaint, but maybe you could push it in a little earlier in your day. That would be wonderful, but I will always stop what I'm doing and get families for you. But a 7-month-old came into my mix yesterday, and we have our Instagram followers are starting to come in now. Hello, Dan. Nice to see you. So I have decided that I'm going to start a separate list for just older children. And when I say older, I'm going to say 3 and above. For anyone who's looking to adopt just 3 and above, I'm going to start a list for $250. You can get on my list and I will send you situations that I get that are for 3 and above. I'm putting it out there. I've never done that. I've never talked about my prices. I've never whatever. Now, you wouldn't have gotten a 7-month-old unless I didn't have any other families that are interested. And you also have to know that if you're looking to adopt older, these are children who are probably going to need extra therapy, extra trauma support, more of an integration into your home. It's a process, usually. And you have to be willing to know that there will be deeper trauma a lot of times. There will be extra therapies. And, these children have memories of their life already, and they may have had things happen to them. So, putting it out there, older children, get on a list. $250, I'll send you the situations. You got to be home study ready though. And then you can take it from there. New York. Lots of stuff came up this week. New York. Okay, New York. New York just came out with all these articles. And God bless New York. The concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Except that New York is making it much harder for dreams to be made. Because not only is it hard enough for New Yorkers to work anywhere outside of New York, they have damn near made it impossible, but they have really come down to say, if you are not licensed in New York, if you are not following the rules of how much or how little or what you can fund for an expectant mom or not, you will not be allowed back into New York. We will not approve this adoption, and you will do things the way we said they're supposed to be done. So what they are saying is you cannot start to fund expenses for an expectant mom until 60 days prior to birth and 30 days post-adoption. I'm pretty sure I have that right. So like if a homeless woman needs a place to live and she's due in 4 months, well, we can work with you, but you'll still be living on the streets. So number one, why wouldn't she just go work with an agency outside of New York that will start supporting her earlier? That's number one. Number two, I don't know, it makes it so much harder for families. It really does. So anyways, long story short, there has been, from what I hear, a coalition of Quad A attorneys, which is essentially adoption attorneys, who are coming together and, coming forward to the New York government to say, hey, why are you making it? The article I read said that basically abortion is easier in New York than adoption. So there's that. That said, we are still finding ways to work with New Yorkers. FYI, not a lot, but a few. And we know some things. I'll just leave it at that. All right, there's that. Black couples. Biracial couples, meaning black and. Or white couples with black children. You're needed. We need you. If you are thinking about adoption, it is a beautiful thing. If financially you can afford it, it is a beautiful thing. You are needed desperately. I am not kidding you, get a call, an email, twice a week, once a week at the least, asking me if I have any families of color, meaning black, I always specify. I'm like, don't say of color. I have a ton of families of color. What do you mean? If you mean black, please say we are looking for black families. Save me an extra question, would ya? All the time of black expectant mamas, black birth moms who have given birth, who want a parent or somebody in the family to look like their child. Are you out there? Come see me. Slide into my DMs. Most likely you'll adopt pretty quickly. Now, I am going to give a caveat. It is harder for black single women than it is for couples of any black in your family. Why, I don't know. We have also seen a ton of fall throughs with our black single women, sometimes, and our black couples, and they still adopt quicker, even if they've experienced a fall through. I don't know, it's scary, it's a risk, and it's also will happen pretty quickly. So there's the truth about that. I have older children written twice on my list, so evidently that's a thing. I just mentioned multiple fall throughs. It's happening more and more, like without anything to tell us, any indication that a fall through may happen. They are happening more, and they are happening multiple times. And it's scary, and it will still happen if you are able to like pull your resistance up from your toes. Resilience, that's what I meant. Pull that resilience up and keep going. It will happen. And when it does, after you have experienced multiple fall throughs, please, if you're going to keep going, please start to see an adoption competent therapist. Because here's what happens. You start to experience PTSD, and then when it happens, you don't believe it, and you're scared that the baby will be taken, and you don't bond in a way that the baby deserves your love and attention, and without fear. Even when mom signs, you think there's another shoe that's going to drop. And I get it. You've been through a lot. Like, how much can one person go through? So if you've had a fall through, or multiple fall throughs especially, and you know you want to keep going, and that you can keep going, because when there's a will, there's a way, and that's when you lean on us and we can help you, you're likely going to need some therapy, because when it happens, you're not going to believe that it's really the truth. And so you're going to have a guard up between you and the baby. And that baby needs you. And that mama chose you to show up for her baby. So we've seen that happen, and it's really sad. And at the same time, we just need to work through that. I love this. So one of the things we do with our families when you work with us privately is we have monthly circle of support calls, Google meetups with an adoption competent therapist. We just have, sometimes 2 people show up, sometimes 10 people show up or more, sometimes 1 person shows up. Every time it's powerful. So we just had a new therapist start with us, and it was so good. I'm going to read some of my notes. So oh, okay, wait, this, all right, I already talked about the multiple fall throughs, and then when it happens, you're still scared, and it's not fair to the child, blah, blah, blah. But then another thing came up. Talking to family about adoption when they would rather see you have your own bio child. That happens a lot. when I hear this, the first thing I go to is your families want to protect you. And they're scared and they only know what they know and what they've heard about adoption. And that's where their brain goes. They don't know all the stuff that you've been learning. So we talked a lot about how you can address that with your families, how you can have those conversations, how you can share resources with them. One of the, we walk our families through the adoption roadmap, a series of 4 steps that we use to guide all of our families. And I wrote a book about it. And so I suggest give your families this book so that they can kind of follow along with you and learn what you're learning while also setting boundaries with them. So that was one thing I talked about. But the therapist said this: start before you have a conversation with checking into your own body. Take a deep breath. Check in with your body, see where you're feeling it. Regulate yourself. And I wrote something about this, I think. Okay, regulate yourself. There's no need for you to justify your decision. You have to be strong in your decision. And when you're talking with your parents, let them know this is what we decided. We're excited about it. We're also nervous about it. We still have questions about it. And I'm sure you have a lot of questions too. We're happy to do our best to answer your questions if things come up for you. And we hope that you can support and love us because we're going to need that. And please know that when we have an update for you, you'll be the first to know. We know you want to know. And it's hard for us when you ask us every time what's going on. So we just ask that you don't. But here's a book that you can read if you want to understand adoption more. We hope you're excited for us. And don't ask for their opinion. Just let them know in a beautiful way. There's no reason to be defensive about it. So there's that. I think I'm going to leave the other 2 for another day. I've talked a lot, I feel like, right? So I'm going to leave a couple of the other things that came up. So much came up this, just to give you a little teaser. Guilt came up. There's a lot of guilt. And waves of activity and how to deal with the slow times when you just came off a high of the high activity times. All these things come up in adoption that you don't even think about. You don't know what you don't know. Go in with an open heart. Go in with an open mind. Consider that what you feel today in your journey might be different than what you feel tomorrow, or in a week, or in a month, or in a year, or in 3 years, or in 10 years. You get my point? Just go in with an open heart and open mind. Continue to engage in these conversations. Continue to learn as much as you can. And your heart and mind might just split wide open. Have a good weekend, you guys. Make it a great Thursday, an even better Friday, an even better Saturday and Sunday. And I'll see you next Thursday morning. Bye. Stay on that adoption roadmap. Don't lose hope. Get right back on if you slide off. You know the drill. See you later. Bye.